The transfer deadline may have shut, but Aberdeen still need a new manager. Welcome back to Fog Football, and today we're going to be looking at the best manager betting odds to see who's favourite and see who's an outsider and all that good stuff. Ideally, I did want to use Sky Bet, but Sky Bet doesn't care about Aberdeen. They only care about the old firm because when Rodgers got appointed, when Clement got appointed, when Beale got appointed, when Ange got appointed, Sky Bet's all over it, but not when it's an Aberdeen manager. So let's see what the deal is here. Of course, Aberdeen yesterday rejecting bids for the likes of Duke. That's the first time I've ever seen Pataudry from that angle. So looks even shiter than what I thought it was. Anyway, look at this. What's going on here at Pataudry? What are we doing? If you took the stadium out, the few of the North Sea's though, alright, like, but that's about it. Anyway, next Aberdeen manager, let's see here, is Neil Warnock. He is favourite. And you know what, right? You know what? I actually want this guy to get the job, and I want him to fail. You see this smuggery that's going on in English football? He seems to think if he takes the Aberdeen job, he's going to pump the old firm. It's almost like, oh, let's give Neil Warnock the job. He's managed everywhere, but he always wanted to manage in Scotland, going up against the old firm. It's almost like a charity case. It's almost like a sympathy vote for the guy. And I think he's funny, right? I think he's a half decent manager. But when you hear like the likes of Simon Jordan saying, oh, why not give him the Rangers job and this Aberdeen job? It's like we're simply giving this guy a job because he wants to manage in Scotland before he calls it a day. I mean, the guy's ancient. But you know what? I hope he becomes an Aberdeen manager. Hopefully today. Turns him around, pumps Celtic, and then lies down to us on Tuesday. That's the ideal scenario for me. Second place, we've got Stephen Kenny. Oh no, sorry. Second place, we've got Stephen Kenny. I've just completely glossed over Alex Neil. Alex Neil had a few good spells, but recently that spell at Stoke was a bit of a disaster. I'm not going to hype it up as anything else. It was pretty bad, wasn't it? It was not very good. And this is actually going to be the 26th man in charge of Aberdeen Football Club, and I mean, that's quite mental. It just shows you, like, these days, 21st century, you just seem to teams go through managers like a meat grinder, man. They do. Stephen Kenny, though, I talked about him a wee bit earlier when I said he was in second. He's actually third. He's on the podium position. He's 8-1. He's 8-1 here. I don't think he'll get the job. Peter Levine, Levin's not Peter Levine. Peter Levin, 16-1. There's a few people. There's a trio at 16-1. You've got him, Neil Lennon, and Nathan Jones. A lot of Aberdeen fans were interviewed outside of Pataudry, and pretty much every single one of them said Neil Lennon. I think Neil Lennon is underrated, and I think he gets a lot of stick for what happened at Celtic, especially in the latter years, with the Jesus Christ, man, the latter years, I'm near breaking down about how beautiful it was when he brought in the likes of Shane Duffy and 10-0 collapsed. But I don't think that was all in Lennon, if we're being honest. Like, you look at Rodgers and you look at Lennon, it's like, what Rodgers doing now with a better team in my mind really much different than what Lennon did in that 10-0 season with a way worse team. I think that was just a collapse there. You look at Rodgers when he was managing, I think the Celtic team just overall was better. Maybe you could argue that he could just attract the better player, but I think there would be this gimmick where Brendan Rodgers is like of the elite manager, and Neil Lennon would be of like the bargain bucket. The bargain bucket, the blockbuster thing. All the DVDs were in it. Buy one, get 27 free. I'm not saying Brendan Rodgers is worse than Lennon. I think he is better. But you'd be led to believe that Brendan Rodgers is Pep Guardiola and Neil Lennon is like, what's that guy who was in charge of Hibs? I can't even remember. Lee Johnson, that's it. That's what you would led to believe. So let's see here. We've also got Mark Warburton, Paul Hickenbottom, Jack Ross, and Gary Rowett. So that is all what we're seeing here. All those four at 20-1. Of course, Hickenbottom sacked for Sheffield United. Jack Ross, he's been through every fucking Scottish team, it seems. Mark Warburton, See the gimmick with him at Rangers and the Warburton bread? That was dark times. And Big Gary at the bottom. Who Aberdeen want, guys? Who do you think Aberdeen should go for? Honestly, I'd go for Neil Lennon. I don't think Neil Warnock should be getting the job just simply because he hasn't managed in Scotland. I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to get a tune at them, right? I'm not saying that, but it's almost like you'd be giving them the job just for the sake of it. So anyway, guys, so your thoughts down below and peace.